George Pickens offers an injury update on whether or not he will play tomorrow. Big Ben speaks his mind about the Steelers' gauntlet of a schedule in December, and Dante Jackson leading a huge group of reinforcements for the Steelers right before they take on the Kansas City Chiefs on Netflix tomorrow in a Christmas showdown. Thank you for joining me today on Steelers Digest. My name is Remington Kuhn. First and foremost, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Most, if not all of you, are not yet subscribed. And if you want the latest news on the Pittsburgh Steelers, this channel is for you. Let's jump right into it because we have a lot to cover today on Steelers Digest. Steelers playing the Chiefs tomorrow on Netflix. We'll talk all about it, as well as these injury updates that could make or break the Steelers season. We have to talk about Big Ben. He spoke up about this ridiculous schedule that the Steelers have had to deal with. The NFL scheduling 3 games in an 11-day span. The Steelers are just barely working their way through this gauntlet, and Big Ben did not hold back when he spoke up against the NFL and what they have done to the Steelers, putting them in this situation. Ben said, "It's miserable. It's a shame that the league does this. It's not fair for the players. You want to talk about injuries and making the game safer, changing the kickoff rule and preventing guys on hip drop tackles and concussions and this, that, and the other. Then you're going to make guys play arguably the most violent game in the world. 3 games in 11 days? I mean, there's no time for your body to get healthy and rest." And that's the main thing that the Steelers have had to deal with recently is injuries. So Big Ben speaking up about this ridiculous schedule, the Steelers having to play 3 games in a span of 11 days. No easy task, especially when some of those games are against some of the best teams in the NFL. The Steelers losing to the Eagles, losing to the Ravens, and now playing the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas, a team that is 14-1. The Steelers would have to beat the 14-1 Kansas City Chiefs and the red-hot Cincinnati Bengals in Week 18 in order to win the AFC North, and that is no easy task. As we look at what TJ Watt also had to say about the Steelers' schedule, after last game, he was quoted saying, "We have 4 days until our next game, so no time to sit around and pout." That was following their loss to the Baltimore Ravens literally just a few days ago. So now the Steelers turn around after that Saturday loss to the Ravens and play the Chiefs tomorrow on Christmas. Very difficult for the Steelers, especially in a contact sport like football, and it's starting to really show when the Steelers have all of these injuries, but they are possibly getting some key players back for this contest against the Chiefs. We have some updates about that in this episode of Steelers Digest. Reinforcements are on the way just in time, and they desperately need some players back in order to have a chance against the 14-1 Chiefs. The secondary has been torn up by Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. Now Patrick Mahomes going against the Steelers defense, a defense that has had some success against Mahomes and also has struggled against Mahomes. So we'll see what happens in the game tomorrow, but a big factor in what's going to happen in the game tomorrow is who is actually going to play the field for the Steelers in this contest. We look at the injury report here. Justin Fields was listed as a limited participant in practice, but we're focused mostly on the defense outside of George Pickens. George Pickens is really the key offensive player that we're going to discuss also in this episode. But as far as the defense is concerned, we have Deshaun Elliott, full participant in practice yesterday, expected to play. Dante Jackson as well. We're going to be without Joey Porter Jr. tomorrow, but we will get Larry Ogunjobi back as well. First, we had to listen to what Mike Tomlin had to say about George Pickens and how important he would be to get back on the offensive side of the ball to help out Russell Wilson, who has struggled in the last 2 games without Pickens. And then we also see Dante Jackson saying he's feeling good. He's expected to be good to go. He says he's good enough to go. Just get out there, ready to duke it out. And then Ogunjobi also said, "I should be good to go. It'll be good to get back out there." So both of those players expected to come back, as well as Elliott expected to return for the Steelers. George Pickens has not actually been confirmed to return. George Pickens is a slightly different story. He said, "I hope so. Depends on how I feel. I feel good, but I don't make the decision. It's the coaches and the doctors. So whatever they tell me to do." So with Pickens, obviously he feels good. He wants to play. He is the most important reinforcement for the Steelers because if you look at their offensive production when Pickens was out there, they were one of the best offenses in the league. Russell Wilson feeding George Pickens, clearly the number one receiver on the team. Give Russell Wilson the opportunity to throw those deep balls, the one-on-one matchups, and utilize that moon ball where a lot of these other receivers, other than Calvin Austin, who's been good at it, have not been able to really stretch the field for the Steelers. So it'd be really important to get Pickens back. And there was an update offered by ESPN just 5 minutes before I press record on this video that Pickens is expected to play. So that is a huge deal if he does indeed play, a big difference maker for the Steelers if they can get their best playmaker back on the offensive side of the ball, their most effective big play guy where you're going to need those splash plays to beat a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. George Pickens would be a huge weapon for Russell Wilson to have back in the lineup against Kansas City. Would probably change the spread of the game. If we're being completely honest, the Chiefs are a 2.5-point favorite going into this contest, which is to be expected. They are 14-1. Pittsburgh, the home team, on Christmas. Both teams playing on short rest, of course, playing on Saturday, getting 3 days in between games, which is actually crazy. We heard what Big Ben had to say about that. Obviously, I agree. It's kind of a ridiculous schedule for the Steelers to have to deal with, but especially the magnitude of these games that we're playing, the Steelers would have to win out in order to win the AFC North. And the Chiefs are the first team that they have to encounter on this path to trying to beat them and the Bengals in order to win the AFC North. A path that would have been much easier if they could have beat the Ravens, but that's neither here nor there. They lost to the Ravens. Now they have to beat Kansas City or they're going to lose the division. That's 2 more must-win games for the Steelers. George Pickens would be a huge boost for the offense in order to beat a team as good and dominant as the Kansas City Chiefs. As we look at the final order of business today, controlling the time of possession will be crucial if the Steelers want to win this game. We noticed it against the Eagles specifically. They held the ball for pretty much the entire second half, running the ball effectively, converting first downs, and making the Steelers offense stay on the sideline. That is the key to victory for the Steelers against the Chiefs, is to stay on the field, for the defense to get off the field and let the offense actually have a chance to run the ball down the field and score some points. They've only gotten a handful of drives the last 2 games in the fourth quarter, and the main reason for that is because the other team is able to run the ball down their throat and run the clock. The Eagles were able to do it, and the Ravens were able to do it. The Steelers didn't even have a chance to come back in the game because their defense couldn't get off the field. They haven't been able to move the ball well. They haven't been able to score a ton of points without Pickens, but if you get Pickens back, you still have to be able to get the offense back on the field to score points. And they have not been able to do that in 2 games consecutively, and that has been the main reason why they have lost. It all comes back to time of possession. If we're not possessing the ball, giving ourselves an opportunity to get points on the board and win the game, and we're just letting the opponent bleed the clock out, we're giving ourselves literally no chance at winning. So if we want to be victorious on Christmas game day on Netflix against the best team in the NFL, we have to get off the field defensively and give Russ the ball, give him a chance to drive us down the field. Because those last 2 games, that has not been the case. We have let the other team bleed the clock out to the very end and not even see the ball back. It's just been disappointing to watch. I'd like to see what the offense can do in those make or break situations late in the game. Just give Russ a chance. Russ has been fantastic all year. That has been plagued by a lot of mistakes lately, and obviously it's not all Russ's fault. Regardless, if the Steelers cannot control the time of possession in the second half, and especially in the fourth quarter, they are going to lose this game. And that is not an option at this point. We put ourselves in this position where we have to win out. If we don't win the division, we're essentially guaranteed to play the Buffalo Bills or the Baltimore Ravens on the road in the first round of the playoffs, and that has not been a recipe to success in the past. So I'm hoping that we can win the division. It starts with 1 game against the Kansas City Chiefs. If we lose that game, it's over. But if you beat the Chiefs, you get to play the Bengals. If you win both, you win the division. So it's not out of the question. So the Steelers just have to focus on 1 game at a time, starting with tomorrow. Short rest. The Chiefs are feeling the pressure as well. No one ever said it was going to be easy, but we're going to embrace the challenge, and hopefully the Steelers fans can wave the terrible towels in Pittsburgh tomorrow against the Chiefs and win that AFC North in Week 18 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, they could win it this week if they get some help. Maybe the Ravens lose. I doubt it, but it's possible. But thank you guys for watching this episode of Steelers Digest. My name is Remington Kuhn. Again, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully the Pittsburgh Steelers can take care of business tomorrow against the Chiefs. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's keep hoping, and let's keep waving those terrible towels, guys. Let's get it on Christmas tomorrow on Netflix. Steelers, Chiefs, 1 o'clock p.m. It's going to be a Christmas miracle. Let's get that W and give the Chiefs their second loss of the season. Here we go.